If you are anything like me, you have spent Sunday after Sunday wondering, am I truly honoring God on my Sabbath day? Am I truly resting in Him? It can be very frustrating for anybody, especially just anyone, but also especially someone who is a rule follower and appreciates the things that are clear in the Bible, but there are a lot of things that are not clear in the Bible, especially like how to spend your Sabbath day in 2024, like a minute by minute guideline. That would be great, but you know, it's not like that. And there's some freedom in that, right? Because we're human. Every day is not gonna look the same. Every Sunday is not gonna look the same. And that's a sweet gift. So before I go any further, let me just explain what a Sabbath day is for anybody who may not be familiar. It's a day of worship and rest. It's supposed to be set apart. It's holy. It's supposed to look different than the other 6 days. The other 6 days you work, including Saturdays, or whatever day before the Sabbath day. 6 days you work, on the 7th day you rest. And it can be really hard to just pump the brakes and just stop what you're doing. Especially in American society where we're just in this environment where we're constantly working, and working is good, but yes, we work too hard sometimes, a lot of times. And it's hard to pump the brakes when you don't prepare for it well. So my goal and intent of this video is to talk to anybody who's wondering what are some ideas and how to really rest and worship on Sundays that are God honoring, but also more specifically to the moms out there, because resting by yourself may look different than resting with your children. And you're also called to model an example what it looks like to rest. And that can look different in different seasons of life. So right now I have a almost 6-month-old. And so my season right now will look different than somebody maybe who has 3 kids, 4 kids, especially someone who has no kids. So all in all, I thought it'd be fun to do some examples of what it looks like to rest and what I do. One of the things that I will encourage you not to do is to not focus on what you shouldn't do on Sundays. So yes, be aware and strive to, there are some things that you have to not do. Like I don't think it's good that you work. And so that may look different for a person who works in the office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, compared to a person who works outside and does physical labor all day. There's different lifestyles, and so Sundays may look different because if it's set apart, then you are told to do what is restful, but what may be restful for one person may be not restful for another person. Just be honest with yourself, really. The Lord knows your heart, and that is what is important. But when I shifted from this mentality of what I shouldn't do to what I get to do, that is when Sundays became a lot more enjoyable. And I think that was the intent of what the Lord made Sabbath days to be. It actually says in Mark 2:27 that it says, "And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath." So it was made so that it would benefit us. And I think so many times we can look at the Sabbath as a hindrance and like, it's just stopping what I have to do and what I get to do. It's like, no, I am gonna go into the video of different things that you can do on your Sundays, on your Sabbath days to rest. So the first thing that I have in mind for a go-to restful Sunday activity is to read. I really enjoy reading. So you could read Christian books. I don't know, I don't really have like a hard and fast rule of what type of book I read. I did try in the past to just read like books that had to do about the Lord, but honestly, I felt like that was one of those things that I was focusing on what I shouldn't do. So I was like, I shouldn't read anything that doesn't have to do with God. Yeah, I'm honestly still wrestling with that one a bit, but right now I'm just finding myself reading either if I feel like reading a book that's a Christian book. So like right now I'm reading Faithfully Present, and so sometimes I'll read this in the mornings. You could read your Bible. That's always a great idea. Ooh, especially if you're like putting on a candle and putting on the warm lighting and putting like, especially it's getting to be fall, so putting on like a nice little fireplace thing on the background and the TV, that's always pleasant and fun. So just like making your cozy vibes all around really makes it really fun, sweet, cozy environment to read in. I am not a big napper, but the second thing is to nap. So like I said, I'm not a big napper, but on Sundays, it's like my mind does this mental shift, and I can take the hardest naps on Sundays. And it is so nice. I don't nap every Sunday, especially if we have something going on in the evening, and like I can't just turn my brain off. It's like this time of day that I really get tired, but yeah, it's so nice. I nap so hard, and I have to like try not to nap too long because then I won't be able to sleep that night. Sunday naps hit different. So that's a good, easy go-to. So number 3 is baking. I love to bake. That's an easy go-to. It's also a good thing to bake and find people to bake for, because Gunther and I love sweets, but we also love eating things that make us feel good, and sweets don't always make us feel good. And so I find myself not baking as much because we don't need to eat all of that just ourselves. So that goes hand in hand with my next tip, which is just being with people. If there is an opportunity to go and hang out with friends and just go on a walk with them or have them over, like that is just one of the greatest things that the Lord has given us, is relationships, and we get to really enjoy that with others on Sunday. So actually our Sundays are filled with a lot of people. So we'll be at church and we'll talk to people before and after church and Sunday school in between. And then we have Bible study at our house on Sunday nights. And so we do fill it with people. And so if I were to bake on a Sunday, I can then give the baked goods to the people who are coming over that night. And it's a great thing to do. Next thing is, especially as the weather is nice, to just go on a walk, to be outside. I think Gunther and I just have different schedules during the week. Mainly he's out and working, and his schedule is just all over the place. And so we'll get like little tidbits of time together, but we do enjoy walking. We just have a hard time carving that out throughout the week. So especially around where we live, we can go on hikes and we can walk, and now we can bring Bear, we can bring him in the stroller. If we go on a hike, we just carry him in our little carrier. So this next one is something that I kind of was like, okay, this is gonna be my go-to activity if like the weather's bad or I don't feel like reading or baking. And it's coloring, and I really like this because I can truly turn my mind off and just color. So I have this coloring book that I think I just got on Amazon or the store. It probably was the store because it was just very random, but it's so intricate, like how detailed this page is. You could just work on that for days. And so I have not even finished. Literally I'll just color a little bit. Look, I got this in April of 2021. And so I don't do a great job of coming to this, but when I do, it's really enjoyable. And it'll be fun when Bear gets a little bit older and he can color with me, and we can just turn off, and I'll have worship music on in the background, or I'll have, if Bear's not awake, I'll have like a podcast going. On Sundays, I usually do try and do podcast or a sermon, a podcast that's like Christian focused, that will easily just help me reorient my mind and my thoughts on the Lord. Yeah, so those are my go-to Sunday activities that I feel like I truly do rest, and that I'm not so much focused on like what I can't do, but I get to focus on like these things that I get to do. And when I truly implement these things, not all of them on one Sunday, but even just like one or two of them, and my day like goes by so fast, I just feel so at peace. And I'm not just numbing my mind by just being on social media, because that is something that I have a personal conviction on, and I don't do it well. Like I do sometimes go on social media on Sundays, but like I try and stay off of it, because one, I can't always control what I'm gonna see. So sometimes like, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm just catching up with friends, but then I'll see a post or something that like will make me anxious, or I'll compare myself easily to other people. And so that's social media is always an ongoing topic and thing that I think everybody should just wrestle with and figure out what works best for them. But yeah, Sundays is definitely a good detox day to stay off. So those are my tried and true restful ideas to do on Sundays, and more specifically as a mom. But I mean, honestly, anybody can take this advice and run with it. Please seriously comment below if you have any other ideas, and I will see you next time.